Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Beyond the Food Bank webinar with Food Power this morning. Thanks for bearing with us and for registering on the new link. This is, I think, the 6th webinar we are doing as Food Power, and I'll be very honest, it has been the rockiest to set up, so we are just thrilled to all be here with you this morning. If you can hear me okay, on the left-hand side of your screen, you're going to see a list of people, the attendee chat, and then next to that there's attendee list, there's an attendee chat. So if you can hear me, do you want to just write hello and where you're listening from? So Abby can hear us, great. Where are you listening from, Abby? Let me guess. Bloomsbury from Trussell. So anyone else from Brighton and Hove? Hi, Emily. Hello, hello. Oh, we've got 2 people listening from Trussell. Waltham Forest, okay. A little bit London focused. Hopefully we've got some people from Cork. Yes, fantastic. Thank you. Manchester, Colchester. Great. People are hearing me. If you, there's a way to send a presenter a question, which I think some people might be doing. That is kind of different. So Phil and Skipton and Helen from Brighton and Hove, you guys have actually sent me a question privately versus using the attendee chat on the left-hand side. It's fine to send me or any of the presenters' questions, but we really encourage people to use that chat box on the left-hand side. It's Phil. Yep, she got it. Cool. And Helen, super. You guys got it. Well done. Thank you. So the attendee chat is where you can kind of communicate with other people and with us, the presenters. And just to let you know, we will do our Q&A at the end with the different presenters. Hi, Sabine and Robin. Oh, so great. So we'll do the presentation, and then at the end, we'll have the Q&A with Anna, Laura, and Catherine, who are all presenting. So if you have little questions like, hey, can you send me the link to that? Or if you want to connect with other people on the webinar, feel free to use the attendee chat as much as you want. But if you want to just save like main questions for the presenters till the end, that sounds good. So can everyone see? I've just changed slides to the agenda just to make sure everyone's seeing it okay. Mine looks a little bit big, but okay. So I'm Maddie at the top of the page, based at Sustain. Next up, we're going to hear from Anna at Stockport Homes. Then we'll go on to Laura Jones talking about Your Local Pantry, and then they are both up in Stockport and Manchester. And then we'll hear from Catherine in Derry about setting up a new food co-op. So a little bit about what we mean beyond the food bank. Food Power is a program that's run by Sustain and Church Action on Poverty. And we're working on a 4-year program that works with local groups of people who are tackling the root causes of food poverty around the UK. But some of the work at Sustain we've done in the past, we've also called Beyond the Food Bank, which is why we're using the phrase for this, this webinar. And essentially what we've done over the last 3 years is put out a report that's around the 33 different councils in London to assess what action they're taking on to tackle food poverty. And the report covers 10 different measures. So it's things like living wage, breastfeeding initiatives, children's centers, holiday provision of food, and things like that. So today we wanted to so that's kind of the model we're looking at, as what kind of actions can people be taking beyond providing emergency food relief to address the issue of food poverty. So this webinar is looking a bit more about food provision models that don't follow the traditional food bank path. So as many of you probably saw over the this week, the Trussell Trust, great work done by Abby and her team who's joined us for the webinar, put out their statistics on food bank use, and we saw it rise over 13% in the last year. And that was quite shocking because in the last year that only went up 6%. So it was almost a double increase in the use of food banks, which is heartbreaking. And the other thing that they found was that in areas that had seen full rollout of universal credit, that the use of food banks has increased by 52%. So there's a real need for emergency food provision and regular food provision as well. But what we also know from other research is that the majority of people who are facing food insecurity don't necessarily go to food banks, or they're not always reaching everyone. On top of this, There's also quite a bit of evidence that the accessibility of food that's affordable and or healthy isn't the same across all regions, boroughs, or even neighborhoods. So a basket of goods that might be affordable in a large supermarket might cost more in a smaller corner store, some items not be available at all. In addition, kind of like on top of that, some people might not have the means to travel as far for their shopping in order to get that better deal, if it even does exist, whether that be within urban areas or for people who are living in rural areas with even less access. In addition to the academic research and we've also seen that some of our local alliances in Food Power who we're working with, they've also done kind of their own studies looking at the availability and affordability of food. So for example, the Good Food in Greenwich group working with the GCDA, they looked at 20 different food items and what they cost at 35 different stores locally. And then Sandwell also has done a mapping exercise to see how available healthy food is in different neighborhoods. So there's kind of lots looking into this issue. And there's also been a fair bit looking into that although food banks are designed to be for emergency situations, there's increasingly this understanding that food bank use can become chronic or cyclical. So for example, more frequent visits at the end of the month when budgets are tighter, or in the case of universal credit, the initial payment is delayed, people can get caught in cycles of debt, which leave them in horrible situations of having to decide between money for food, fuel, or other basic necessities. So there have been quite a number of different ways of answering this. So I just wanted to highlight a few around the UK that we know of, and then before handing over to our speakers. So for example, in Croydon, the council has opened up something called the New Addington and Fieldway Food Stop. So it's located in a family center in that area, in this one neighborhood of Croydon, and it's run alongside the Community Connect services, such as the Job Club, Health and Wellbeing, and Benefits Advice. The way that their scheme works is members can join for $3.50 a week, and they get access to around 15 to 20 pounds worth of grocery shopping, which helps residents save on average of 500 to 700 pounds per year. The residents, in order to join, you must be a resident of that area. Another example has been the community shop model. So they describe themselves as a social supermarket model where a social supermarket model with surplus products on the shelves sold at about 1/3 of the typical retail cost. They've currently have 4 branches around the UK. And to become a member, customers must meet certain eligibility criteria based on postcode, and they must also be receiving some form of government and income support. As a part of membership, the customers also take part in other activities such as cooking classes. We've also seen Feeding Britain, which is also working nationally on tackling hunger in the UK. They've recently received funding from the Big Lottery Fund to support pilot citizen supermarkets, and they're doing it on kind of 2 different models. So their Feeding Coventry group will be setting up a community-run shop to sell healthy food at, again, similarly a fraction of market rate, and we'll also have a community cafe and advice services. And West Cheshire, they're going to do a slightly different setup, where they're going to have a series of small community food hubs, which will be called meeting places, which will be transformed. They'll be kind of taking existing food bank distribution sites and transforming them into community-led spaces. So they're also just in the process of opening a Birkenhead citizen supermarket. So there's a lot that's going to be coming out from Feeding Britain over the coming year, which we're quite excited to see their models and how it works. And they're quite keen on testing out the different models to see what they can learn from it and to share it more widely. I also wanted to point out just a few other ones that are a little bit more off-piste, I guess, or a bit further away from the traditional models that we've seen. But wanted to point out that the food cooperative there are food cooperatives that also where people can buy in bulk in order to access wholesale prices. We've got another project at Sustain that's doing work at this, in particular with university students, helping them set up community food enterprises. And there's also a toolkit available to download for anyone on the Sustain website that's about setting up a food co-op. So it's a bit of a different one because it's less about potentially setting up a space where people can access food, but it is around trying to get better prices to food. There's also the redistributive retail model. I put this one down at the bottom, the Meals on Wheels. It's actually an organization I used to volunteer with in Montreal, and they were originally a Meals on Wheels group that then got into urban agriculture quite a bit, and they then started to set up an urban veg box scheme. And the way they did it is that it would typically, they would give out veg boxes that were worth around $20 a week, like the value was averaged at $20, but they would ask customers to pay $30 a week. And then they would also have veg, and that extra $10 would subsidize a veg box for their Meals on Wheels clients that provided them with healthy vegetables from the same farm, but were also a bit prepared in advance. So maybe they were chopped up or peeled or things like that. So again, it's like, it's just another way of kind of, I think, creatively thinking about how people can access food through alternative retail setups. Also, this is quite popular in the United States, but there's been a lot there around they're called SNAP benefits, which are what people commonly refer to as food stamps. And there's been a lot of cities in the US who have set up models essentially where they link farmers markets and the SNAP benefits so that all of the stands at a farmer's market would accept the SNAP benefits. And in some places, like in Philadelphia, they've set up something called the Philly Food Buck Scheme, which is so great because it kind of is two birds with one stone. So if people they use a Philly Food Buck, they can spend $3 on their SNAP benefit, but actually get $5 worth of food. So it's a great way to both support the farmers markets and keep those in spaces, but also widen them out, make them more accessible, and get more people shopping with them who might not be able to get there otherwise. So we're then going to go over to, that's kind of it for me. We're hoping to go over to Laura and Anna. And so Laura was just having some connectivity issues. So we're going to see if she can turn her mic on and join us. Well, Anna's going to go first and then hopefully Laura. If not, then we'll jump over to Catherine and see if we can get Anna and Laura back on later. Catherine, do you want to try to join on and then we'll see if we can help Anna sort out the technical issues?
Okay, hi, can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, so we'll leave it to you, Catherine. You can just skip ahead to your slides and then we'll try to work it out.
Okay, can everyone hear me then? I'll just skip across to my slides here. So I'm speaking from Apex Food Club. Today I'm going to give you an introduction to Apex, the background to our social supermarket project, talk about the Apex Food Club, which is the name of our social supermarket, our future plans, and then contact details if anyone would like to get in contact with me. Apex is a not-for-profit housing association, manages approximately 5,000 homes, and we employ 640 staff here in Northern Ireland. The accommodation provided can be arranged into 3 different types. Hi, can you hear me again? Sorry, the sound went there. Yep, that's great. So we are essentially a social housing landlord. But more than that, Apex also stand outside their landlord responsibilities and have worked in conjunction with other organisations. And this is just a very small example of the other things that Apex would do. Our social supermarket is funded by Department for Communities. There's funding for 5 social supermarkets in the whole of Northern Ireland. And for those of you, I don't think there's anyone from Northern Ireland on the chat, so I've provided a map. And if you see here, the red line just denotes the border between the north of Ireland and the south of Ireland. One of the social supermarkets is here in Strabane at the left-hand side. We are up near the top there in Derry. If you go on round to the north coast, there's one in Coleraine, another one in Belfast, over at the east there, and then just down there from Lisburn. So what is a social supermarket? A social supermarket is not a food bank. It's a long-term approach to the problems of food poverty. We run a membership scheme in our food club, and we're funded to September 2018 by Department for Communities, and we're hoping for an extension of 2 years on that. Sorry, I was off again there. I think I'm back on. Sound's back on. Can you hear me? Great. So our members have freedom of choice. They can choose from fresh, frozen, tinned and dried foods. And for that, they must agree to take part in programmes addressing their food poverty. So the idea is to move them on from the situation they're in and then eventually leave our scheme and be able to support themselves. The background to our food club, in 2016, our chief executive created the Living Centre in response to welfare reform changes. You'll see there the Living Centre on the left-hand side. That's where I am currently talking to you from today. And the idea was to tackle the issues of food poverty. So, for example, there's a teaching kitchen within that building, an IT suite, and Foyle Food Bank is also there, supported by the Trussell Trust. The objectives then of our food club are to deal with the causes and consequences of food poverty by promoting the concepts of dignity and empowerment, and that's through using Apologies, the sound went off there. So there's 3 objectives to our food club. It's to deal with the causes and consequences of food poverty. It's to promote the concepts of dignity and empowerment, and we do that through a person-centred approach. So I've given some of the examples there of the interventions that we have and what we offer people. So it's money management, education, employability, looking at their physical and mental health and their well-being as a whole. People have a freedom of choice. They can choose the day that they come to shop. They can choose the time that they come to shop. They can choose the type of food that they want. And they can also choose the direction of the development and skills programs that they're interested in. Each member has an individual success plan, and that is a plan on how they wish to move themselves forward. And then I will check in on everyone on a monthly basis to see how our service is for them and how they think they're progressing themselves. To be a member, you must be in food poverty or at risk of experiencing food poverty, in receipt of means-tested benefits or working tax credits, so you can be employed or unemployed, and you must live within the BT47 or BT48 postcode. Hi guys, I think I'm connected again. The sound keeps cutting out in this. So you heard up until the word postcode. So you must be willing to take part then in personal development program to address the causes and consequences of the situation that you find yourself in. That's the most important thing. How you become a member of our food club is you can use a referral agency. So that's different community groups throughout the city can refer you to us. For example, the food bank have referral agencies, and then the food bank could refer people onto the food club. Or some members have just self-referred, they've read about us online, or they've been referred by a food club member or another social supermarket outside our postcode area. The provision model that we have is that members have a specific day to shop. They pay £5 a week. The food value is £25 at least, but typically it's between 25 and 35. We have food in different categories. So we have 2 red, 4 blue, 6 green, and 8 yellow. And we have 3 days that we're open. Hi, sounds back again. So yeah, so we've 4 different food categories: 2 red, 4 blue, 6 green, and 8 yellow. And our opening hours then are Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So why this model? We feel that it gives a realistic shopping experience, and members have freedom to choose the food that they like or that they don't like. By arranging the food into different categories, we can ensure fairness. So, for example, the 2 red are high value products, 4 blue would be processed foods, 6 green would be your dairy and cereals, and then 8 yellow is everything else. And fruit and veg are on top of everything. That's free then, extra on top of your shopping. We also visited your local pantry in Stockport in January and spoke to Anna. And we also visited Lucy's Pantry in Salford, which is part of the Maya Centre. And that was really helpful on looking at different provision models and understanding what possibly could work for us in our specific situation. Hi guys, I think the sound's back again. So our suppliers, 99% comes from Fair Share, but we also get support from local organisations. The local farmers we get fruit and vegetables from, and also Seasons Harvest is a local organisation. And then Doherty's Meats there, they supply us once a month with sausages and nuts, and that's a goodwill gesture. And then we're in constant talks with other organisations then to get help from them. So far, our current members are interested in growing fruit and vegetables, careers and employability, benefits advice and debt counselling, improving mental and physical health, parenting skills, cooking skills, and nutrition knowledge. And one thing I didn't include there, and which is perhaps the most important, is also volunteering. We have 9 volunteers that help me run the centre, and 6 of those are food club members. I will source those interventions that our members are interested in and arrange for events to take place either in the Living Centre or with other external agencies. And then that is something that would go into their individual success plans, and that's something then that I would follow up them on a monthly basis. Our current picture is that we have 30 members, which is supporting 79 people. They're made up from single parents, single people, multi-generational households, and they range in age from 21 to 62 years of age, and they're also employed and unemployed. The members are, we have 10 Apex tenants, and then we have 20 people who live within the BT47 and BT48 postcodes. Interventions that we have given so far are recipe ideas, budgeting, benefit advice, savings accounts, and also we are connected with a fuel and energy project with Bryson Energy to help our members who use oil central heating or have gas supplies. Our future plans, May has been designated our Money Management Month. So we are looking at food planning and how to save money, eat better, and reducing waste. We have cookery classes by a home economist who will look at giving our members more adaptable cooking skills so that they can use different ingredients or stretch the food out to last longer or to feed more people. In terms of financial help, we have connected with the Ulster Bank and their community banker to develop and enhance budgeting skills. And that's a really interactive scheme. So members will go away for a full week, note down everything that they've spent, go then and have a one-to-one consultation with the community banker and how they can, what they've spent that week, how they can cut back on spending, increase their saving, and then also how they can improve their online skills and use their online banking more effectively. June then we are looking at, which technically should be a sunnier month, in June we're looking at building resilience and managing stress, and then I'm back again. So June then is mental health, building resilience and managing stress, and growing food. So growing herbs in your kitchen and growing fruit and veg at home. Our future plans, we are looking to build alliances with food manufacturers and producers, pet food manufacturers and suppliers, because pets are very important to people. And in particular, whenever a lot of our members, when they have no money or very little money for food, will feed their pets first. For personal hygiene manufacturers and distributors, and also corporate support in terms of volunteering in our organisation and also getting expert knowledge, perhaps in the areas of marketing or retail. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for sticking in through all the sound problems, and that's just my contact details if anyone would like to get in contact with me. Thank you.
Hi. Oh, thank you, Catherine. Thank you so much for being such a champion and persevering. That was amazing. And you can tell everyone's really quite interested. I think what we're going to do is, it seems like Anna and Laura are having some serious connectivity issues on their end. So Catherine, do you mind sticking with us for a Q&A right now? Because I think some people might have questions. Like, I have one already, but if other folks want to put theirs in the attendee chat, I was wondering, Catherine, could you tell us like a tiny bit more about the social the whole setup in Northern Ireland and kind of like the background to what's happening with the other ones, or like timelines, or do you know much more about that you could share with anyone? If you want to turn your mic back on. And
my sound cut out there. Could you ask me that question again?
Oh, sorry. Just could you share a bit more about what else is happening with the other supermarkets in Northern Ireland?
Sure. Well, every supermarket is using a slightly different model to suit either their organisation or the area that they supply. So this has really been used as a pilot project by Department for Communities. And as I say, we have funded until September, and then hopefully we will get an extension of a few years then on top of that.
Okay, so there's 5 going from now through September. Do you know where the other ones are?
Yeah, they're on the map there. There's one in Strabane, ourselves in Derry, one in Coleraine, one in Belfast, and one in Lisburn.
Okay. Have they opened yet?
They have all opened yet. We're all operating yet.
Okay, great. Does anyone else have questions that they want to ask Catherine? There's one in there around the different types of the like color coding of the food products that you went into, Catherine, which is great. It's really interesting to hear kind of how each one does it slightly differently. And there was a bit of chat from people listening in about fair share and the different, whether or not people can resell food that Fair Share has given them, whether either through a membership scheme or otherwise. I don't know the answer to that one. But Catherine, we've got Robin asked why people are required to join a development program.
Sorry, Maddie, could you ask me that question again? Because my sound went.
Yeah, no problem. Robin has asked why people are required to join a development program.
Sure. The development program is designed, people are coming to us because they're in food poverty. So the idea is to move them on and away from their situation at the minute, but they get to choose their development program. So for some people, they would like to grow fruit and veg at home. For some people, it's perhaps help with parenting skills. For some people, it's their mental health. For some, it's volunteering to get their confidence back, to get them back out into the world of work. So everyone is very varied and no one's story is the same. So no one's personal development plan is the same either.
Great, thanks. We also had a question someone asked in terms of criteria for membership, how you verify someone being in food poverty or being at risk of food poverty.
Sure. Well, first of all, the Apex tenants would be referred to me by the Apex housing officers. So they would have built up a relationship with their tenants. For those.
Oh, we lost Catherine for a second there. Thanks for bearing with us, you guys. It's really interesting what she's saying, and we're really pleased to have her with us. And so it was just a bit of this is, like I said, our 6th webinar, and they've all gone. For anyone who's tuned in before, this is kind of the first one we've had these sort of hiccups on. So we are learning as we go, and are really pleased that that Catherine could join us. And what I'll do is after we're done the Q&A with Catherine, I will go through the information from your local pantry. Are you back, Catherine?
I'm back, sorry. I forget what I said on that.
So I was just asking kind of about the verification, or like in terms of criteria for membership if someone's in food poverty or being at risk of food poverty. Tara was asking about that.
Sure, yeah. So we ask for photographic identification, and then we also ask for evidence that their own means tested benefits. And then Department for Communities have quite an extensive questionnaire that we go through with people discussing their specific issues. So that's how we judge that.
Yeah, okay. And someone else has asked like how strict you are about postcode requirements. So if someone presents with visible needs, so if they said, for example, if someone lives past the Derry airport, potentially outside the postcode, but is on benefits in food poverty and self-refers, what would you do in a situation like that? Or you're kind of asking like, how is the postcode something the statutory body funding requires? And sort of in that situation, like, would you have to turn people away, or how's that going so far?
No, on the next postcodes either side of us, there are.
Oh no, we lost Catherine at such a key moment there. Something about the postcodes on either side. Someone asked if people are willing to share their contact details. I think if people are willing to share them in the chat box as much as they please, but we won't be sending around a list of contact details to attendees. So there isn't kind of like a delegates list with contact details, unfortunately, for this one. But we definitely would encourage people to chat together, and you're welcome to share your own on the left. Catherine?
Yes, I'm back again, yeah.
Sorry. Postcodes. What on either side of your postcodes there is a?
There are social supermarkets. So we would refer people on to that. And also we have had referrals from other social supermarkets to us.
Oh, okay, great. That's amazing. So are they all the postcodes, is all of Northern Ireland covered by the social supermarket, these 5 pilots?
No, it's not. If you look at the map there, we're mainly around the outside of Northern Ireland,
okay.
on the edges. I think it's just because this is a pilot, they're just testing it out first.
Yeah, great. Emma's asked, she says, thanks for this, Catherine, really interesting. As well as offering the one-to-one personal development support, do you look at wider structural issues that leave people without money? For example, helping people with a welfare issue?
Yes, absolutely. Whatever anyone comes to me within reason, I will help them. And we have given support to people.
Yikes. Okay, we lost Catherine again. She's doing such a good job. Thanks for bearing with us, you guys. I'm just going to see what the other questions are. Thanks for that. I saw, Emily, you had one. So there's a question about the wider structural issues, which hopefully Catherine will get to, about the need to prove their... Oh, are you back, Catherine?
Yeah, sorry, where did you lose me there on that one?
Just about the question was do you look at wider structural issues that leave people without money? For example, helping people with a welfare issue.
Sure, yeah. Apex have a financial inclusion officer, so he would help people, and also there are lots of referral agencies around the city that we have built up links with, and I would refer people onto those as well, and then also follow up on what they got from that referral to make sure that people are getting the best help available.
Yeah, great. Emily's brought up a great point about some sort of national system of social supermarkets so everyone can benefit. Yeah, that's a good question, Emily. Barbara asks, oh, that's not for you, I guess, if there's any local authority funding required to set this up. Well, you've gotten funding from the Department of Communities, you said, right, Catherine?
Yes, that's right, in Northern Ireland, yeah.
Northern Ireland, yeah. I don't know of any schemes in the UK. I don't know of any local authority funding schemes here other than Croydon. And the Croydon Council, who's done the one I mentioned at the beginning of it. I think the GLA is kind of looking into this a bit, or has some in the past. So we haven't seen as much, unfortunately. Are there any other questions for Catherine? Did I miss any? I know that there's quite a bit of debate around means testing and membership schemes and conditionality. So it's sort of around there is a lot of debate kind of around these models and looking at whether or not there needs to be a requirement for membership, which I don't think not all social supermarkets or citizen supermarkets have. And then also around whether or not there's a requirement to take part in activities beyond being able to just shop and get the food. So there is a lot of debate, and it seems like we're getting that from a lot of people in the chat around what kind of, what's the requirement to membership, to becoming a member, and then what's required of members and stuff. So I think that it is a really interesting debate, and it's great to see that there's a lot of different ways that people can implement that in different formats. So I think what we'll do now, again, Catherine, thank you so much for being patient. Thank you everyone listening for being patient. I'm just going to go through, I'm going to skip back a few slides to the start, just so that people can see what the presentation was on your local pantry. And I will go through these just briefly for everyone. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it the justice that Anna and Laura could have, unfortunately. But it's a scheme, it's a network of volunteer-run food stores. And if anyone wants to jump in on this, Catherine or otherwise, please do jump in. It's a network of volunteer-run food stores. Similarly, it's a membership scheme where people pay us a weekly fee to get over 10 items around a 15-pound value. And the idea is to offer choice in a setting with dignity, and there's opportunity for volunteers. And then they also have signposting to other services. This first bit, Anna was going to be presenting. Oops. How is it different from a food bank? Again, I can't speak to this from experience because it's not my project, but they see it as a community resource and not crisis food provision. There's a sense of ownership, as I imagine, as it's a membership scheme. There's a choice over products. Steps in before food bank requirement. So it's like stepping in, so it's trying to probably work with people before they get to the point of needing to visit a food bank in an emergency situation. And also coming in at moments after people have visited a food bank to help get out of that emergency situation. And it looks like they have a mandate of doing non-intrusive questions, which how does it work? Okay, so they have a weekly fee, which is calculated on a site-by-site basis. I believe they have 4 sites going right now. A minimum of 10 items worth up to 15 pounds. They're color-coded, so it sounds quite similar, as Catherine says she's visited your local pantry. So I'm sure that there's some similarities between the two. They're issued with freezer bags and fridge thermometers. And opening times are customer-led, is what it sounds like. They work with Fair Share. They also work with local businesses and suppliers, as well as other donations and relationships. And they reinvest any profits to buy any gaps in supply, fruit, veg, or milk. So who's eligible? Anyone struggling within that pantry's designated area. They ask non-invasive questions on general affordability. It's not based on referrals, and it's about becoming a community resource, not a crisis intervention. This is exactly what you're not supposed to do in a PowerPoint, which is just read the slides, which is what I'm doing. So thanks everyone. The history is that they've opened up 4 pantries over the past 4 years with Stockport Homes, which is the local housing association, and they've got 2 more to open this year. They also work with Church Action on Poverty as a partner. And they have lessons and learning processes and templates, which I won't be able to go into, unfortunately. They also have this video that they wanted to share today. So I encourage everyone to check that out on their website in general, as well as to watch the video. They've set up a franchise model with Church Action on Poverty, which is what Laura was going to speak to us about today. So they're framing it as business in a box. So it's a tried and tested model through their 4 pantries that they've already set up in Stockport. But each one will have an individual spin to do joint working, and it comes with tools, training, and processes to operate. This is what looks like comes in the franchise package. So they've got a lot of different things on offer. I know they've been talking to a number of different groups around the UK to about the potential of starting one. And this is a bit more about what is on offer and what the fee is to purchase, as well as it looks like an annual fee based on revenue to keep it going. So in summary, they've worked with a range of partners to develop the franchise model. They've got the formal legal agreements to support people setting them up. They're open to feedback and to continuous improvement, and they will keep us posted on future developments. And then we go over to Catherine. Unfortunately, we can't do Q&A with Laura and Anna. They, like I said, they've had an issue with their connectivity, and so weren't even be able to join in the chat in the end. Were there any final questions for Catherine or for us here at Food Power? I would say if anyone, someone's asked to connect with other people from East Anglia, Yorkshire, Oxfordshire, we've got a map on the Food Power website that has a list of the different, we've got, I think, 47 alliances working in across the UK, and they're all on our map with contact information and more about the organizations that are involved. So it's a great way to try to link up with people in certain regions if you're looking for it, to connect with them. I haven't seen any other questions coming in. I would say thank you again for your patience on this one. It's a bit shorter than we'd hoped, which I apologize for. We're going to hopefully be doing our next webinar towards the end of May. And I'm looking, if you work on either, if you've done any work with your group on Healthy Start, I would love to hear from you. Or if you have, these are kind of webinars in the pipeline that we're looking for presenters on. One is on Healthy Start Action, and the other one is on what we call people-powered change, so working to influence local or regional or national decision makers. It would be great to hear from you and maybe have you feature on a webinar. Typically, it's a lot smoother than this, technically speaking, so it would be great to have more people on. So once again, thank you so much to Catherine. Thank you to everyone who's listening for being so patient on this one. All of this is recorded and will be on our website. We have a Food Power, it's sustainweb.org/foodpower/resources. We have all of our webinars there that you can listen to and watch. It's also, you can always see the slides and hear us talking. And so I encourage you to check that out. We'll have this one up there probably later today or tomorrow for anyone who wants to listen in. What I'm going to do is, as per usual, I'll turn off my mic and the webinar will formally close, but we'll just leave the chat going for another 10 minutes or so that anyone who wants to keep chatting and exchange details can do that, because we know it's one of the great benefits of these webinars. So thank you again. Thank you for your patience, and have a good rest of your day.